Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 310 of the podcast, unless you're joining me live on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. If you want to catch the show live, subscribe on one or all of those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know when the show's going live, like right now. I always like when you guys join live and contribute and more so distract me and make me laugh while I'm doing this. But I also appreciate everybody who's on the audio only side as well, which is damn near 100% of you. I guess my mom was right when she told me I have a face made for radio. Anyway, folks, today is Monday, April 17th, for those keeping track. I was not able to get to an episode yesterday because you guessed it, did another day trip to Orlando, took the kiddo to Animal Kingdom over there, had a nice little day with the family, got home pretty late and just exhausted. So didn't get to an episode yesterday, so I'm a day late and $1 short. I'll give you guys half your money back this week on the podcast. All right, sound good? We can get right into the MMA action. Of course, I'm not going to start with the main event. I'm going to have to talk about the unfortunate circumstances from my buddy Billy Quarantillo in the co-main event against Edson Barboza. Such a huge opportunity for Billy. I was so happy for him to be put in this position. Potential to break into the top 15 in the featherweight division. And he was looking good for the first 2 minutes and 36 seconds of this fight. I thought he had a great game plan. He did a good job of walking Edson down, not letting him get his legs loose for some of those big kicks. He was staying in his face. He was landing some nice clean shots. But got a little bit too predictable with the takedown attempts. I thought he could have tried to stay on the feet a little bit more, mix in the level changes and stuff like that. But what are you gonna do? He threw a front kick, followed by a right hand, and then right into a level change into empty space, which Edson Barboza filled with just a vicious knee right up the middle. What are you going to do, man? It was a mistake. Billy knows it was a mistake. And when you're in there with a killer like Edson Barboza, there's no room for mistakes. This is the highest level of the game here. So he's going to take this one and learn from it. Billy's one of the hardest workers I've ever met in this sport. So he's going to be making adjustments and he'll be back better and stronger. And yeah, Mark Fellows here in the chat says, win or learn, as they say. True for this fight. Yeah, I have no doubt that Billy's going to go back to the drawing board. And knowing him, he's already back in the gym working hard. So shout out to Billy Q, man. I'm still proud of him for getting in there under the bright lights in front of a big crowd, co-main event against an elite striker like Edson Barboza. A lot of people would be scared to get in there with that dude. And Billy did it. So what are you going to do? You win or you learn, right? So Billy will be back. And that's that. All right, let's talk about the main event here. I don't want to sound like I think I'm Nostradamus or anything like that because I very rarely pick fights correctly, which is why I don't gamble on fights and I don't give you guys advice with which to gamble on fights. But this fight went down pretty much exactly the way I thought it would. Max Holloway just leading the dance, a step ahead of Arnold Allen the whole time. And look, Arnold Allen's a tough fighter. He's very skilled. He's well-rounded. He's definitely going to learn from this experience as well. But Max Holloway just has a style where he kind of lulls you into his game, which is exactly what he did to Arnold Allen. Forced him into a boxing match, which we know Max's boxing is some of the best in the UFC. And Arnold Allen just kind of found himself playing Max's game. And when you do that, that's when you start falling into his traps. It must be, I would imagine, being in there with Max Holloway. Like he's such a friendly guy that he just kind of draws you into what he wants you to do, like almost hypnotizes you. And that's the feeling I got in this main event here. Arnold Allen did have some moments where he shined through. There was, I think he stole a round or two there, maybe 2 and 5. In the 5th round, he finally started mixing things up a bit, but this fight was the story of Max Holloway. Just, showing his excellence. He started out mirroring Arnold Allen, going southpaw to southpaw, and just outboxed him there. And then he slowly switched over to orthodox, which opened up even more body shots and a couple of nice body kicks. Because when you're lined up in opposite stances, those body kicks become, easier to land because you're throwing your rear leg towards the open side of their body. It was a great game plan by Max. He was patient. He was super technical as always, and just showed once again why he's one of the best in the world. Unfortunately, what do we do with Max Holloway now? Because he's clearly the second best guy in the division. He's got 3 losses to the champion. And I don't know if 155 will even be an option, if that's where Volkanovski plans to go after defeating Yair Rodriguez. So Max might have to sit around and see how that one plays out to see what Volkanovski is going to do. I think if Volkanovski stays at featherweight, that Max should move up. I've been saying this for a long time. I think he's competitive at lightweight. I think as long as Volkanovski is the champion, he'll get to a title shot a lot quicker at lightweight than he ever will at featherweight. I don't know if there's anything that he could do to get a 4th shot at Volkanovski at featherweight. I mean, you have to go through and beat the whole roster again. So anyway, not a bad problem to have if you're the UFC. I mean, you have 2 guys in a division who, are clearly your number 1 and your number 2, and you can't put them together. So maybe you got to move somebody around a little bit. I think there's a lot of interesting fights for Max Holloway. Sorry, folks. Looks like the microphone got unplugged for a second there. This thing's been so temperamental lately. It's like if I just kind of bump it the wrong way. Let's see. Okay, I think we're back. Let me know if you guys can hear me now. Yeah, this thing just comes unplugged so easily. So looking at the rankings here, there's Yair Rodriguez, but he's going to be fighting the champ. He's the interim champ. You got Brian Ortega. We don't need to see that fight again between Holloway and Ortega. Arnold Allen, he just beat. Josh Emmons coming off a loss. And then you go down the list. Calvin Kattar, he put on a boxing clinic against. I guess, there's Giga Chikadze would be an interesting fight for Max Holloway, but is it really fair to Max to put him in there with the number 8 guy just because he's beating everybody else? Now, if we take a look at lightweight, you could do Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. That's a great fight. Dustin Poirier I wouldn't do, just because we've seen it. Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, that's a fun fight. Beneil Dariush and Max Holloway. Rafael Fiziev and Max Holloway. Come on, who wouldn't want to see that? That's a fun fight right there. Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's just a lot more you could do with him. And I imagine that cut to 145 is getting tougher as he gets older because it was never an easy cut for him. Max a big dude, but here we are. As for Arnold Allen, he's going to bounce back. I think a fight with Josh Emmett would be a fun fight. They're both coming off of losses, so we could do that. Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen would be a fun fight. I'll tune in for that one. Let's see. Azamat Murzakanov against Dustin Jacoby. So this dude, Murzakanov, is a fucking killer, man. He was just brutal for the first 2 rounds of this fight. Seemed to lose a little bit of wind in his sails come that 3rd round. Dustin Jacoby just showed his toughness. Coming back, I would say won that 3rd round. Good fight, though. Murzakanov is going to be a problem in here. Once he gets a little bit more experience under his belt. Let's see, 13-0. This was just his 3rd fight in the UFC, and it was only the first time he wasn't able to get a finish. So, this was good experience for him. He was able to go the distance for the first time in the UFC, and I'm seeing if it was the first time he went the distance ever, but no, he has. Yeah, it's going to be good experience for him, and he's tough as shit, man. 34 years old, though. All right. Well, there's always Bellator. Pedro Munhoz, unanimous decision over Chris Gutierrez. This was just a matter of experience triumphing, over the young lion here, which, we had a few different cases of this, on the card, and this just happens to be one where the more experienced guy was able to prevail. He was able to put even more of a pace as the fight went on, it seemed like. Tough go of it lately for Pedro Munhoz. 3, I don't want to say losses in a row because it was the no contest with Sean O'Malley, but then lost to Dominic Cruz, lost to Jose Aldo, beat Jimmy Rivera, but then had 2 losses in a row, Frankie Edgar and Aljamain Sterling, both champions, so no shame in that. I mean, he's had a hell of a schedule. Like, he's only fought champions and Sean O'Malley. and Jimmy Rivera since 2018. So, I mean, that's a rough schedule. But, Munhoz, I feel like, needed a fight like this to get his confidence back. This was a fun fight. Both of these guys have knockout power, so it kind of made it exciting the whole time while they were exchanging in there. Let's see. Cutelaba just smelled blood in the water when he caught Tanner Boser. I thought Boser looked good at light heavyweight. It looked like he dropped the weight in a healthy way. He looked fit. He looked in shape. He looked strong. I like to see him stay at light heavyweight. I mean, we all know the legends of Cutelaba in the first round. The guy's just an absolute mauler. And if he touches you, anybody in that division has the potential to go to sleep. So I think Tanner Boser should just take a little time, regroup, stay in this division, keep that weight off, and maybe learn to be comfortable in this new body. And I think he could see some success at light heavyweight. So that's what I'd like to see. As for Cutelaba, man, here's a guy who, personally, I was hyping him up when he first came on the scene in the UFC. This fight allowed him to bounce back from a 3-fight losing streak. His last win was against Devin Clark back in September 2021. And before that was the disaster. He had a draw with Dustin Jacoby, and then the disaster with Magomed Ankalaev, the first fight where he was doing like the weird playing possum thing, and the referee stepped in, stopped the fight after 38 seconds, and then in a rematch gets himself knocked out for real in 4 minutes. Mark says Cutelaba is the funnest fighter who will never be ranked. It's true, man. Like, there are just guys like that, There are guys that are always exciting to see fight, and they'll probably never touch the rankings, but yeah. I don't know who, maybe put him in there with Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby's ranked 13th, and coming off a loss, so maybe it would make sense to put those two together again. Figure out the draw that they had a few years ago. He's already fought Khalil Roundtree, knocked him out, so he's got wins over guys who are ranked. Interesting. Yeah, I'd say run it back with Dustin Jacoby. Why not? Okay. One of 3 retirements on the night. Clay Guida throws the gloves down after unanimous decision loss to Rafa Garcia. I feel like we're talking about one of these every week. It was weird to see Clay Guida in there, not with the usual amount of energy that Clay Guida brings to the cage. For however many years this dude's been fighting, he's just been relentless. It just nonstop energy, nonstop action. His shots for his takedowns, like, he would just shoot through guys. And we didn't see that from him. It looks like time has finally caught up with the Carpenter, and he just wasn't able to execute. Also, credit to Rafa Garcia, who just fought a great fight, was able to keep Guida off of him, sticking and moving, and just fighting with a great game plan. So Clay Guida retires. I should have looked up some statistics. about this because I was having this kind of debate with my buddy the other night. I feel like Clay Guida could be a Hall of Fame level fighter just based on longevity alone, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? You think we put him in there? Should there be a wing of the Hall of Fame just for guys who stayed so active and were able to stick around for such a long time in the UFC? Because let's look. He was in the UFC since 2006. And before that, he had one fight in the WEC, which for those who don't know, the WEC had the lower weight classes, which the UFC then acquired and brought their champions in. So the UFC used to start at 155 pounds. The WEC had 145, 135 pound weight classes. They had other weight classes as well, but you tuned into the WEC to see these lower weight class guys scrap, like Uriah Faber and Dominic Cruz, Mike Brown, guys like that. There were some classic wars in the WEC. So basically, let's say he's been in the UFC since August of 2006, which is crazy. I mean, he's had his ups and downs, but it looks like never more than 2 losses in a row. He still won his last fight against Scott Holtzman, who I believe retired after that fight. 41 years old. Damn. Just been around such a long time. To be in the UFC for this amount of time, since 2006, and to never be cut and to never have more than 2 losses in a row, I say Clay Guida is a Hall of Famer. Yeah, see, Mark says there's a pioneer wing. Let's stick him in there. I'm good with that. I believe he has a fight in the Hall of Fame, his fight with Diego Sanchez, which was just an awesome war. You look at some of the names he's fought. He's got a win over Josh Thompson. He's got a win over Nate Diaz. He's got a win over RDA, a win over Takanori Gomi, Anthony Pettis, Joe Lozon, BJ Penn, Michael Johnson. Yeah, Clay Guida's a beast, man. And I think being a fan favorite says a lot as well. I think if you're going to put Cowboy Cerrone in the Hall of Fame, then Clay Guida deserves to be there as well. People loved watching these guys fight. They would fight on short notice, never back down from a fight. And again, looking at his record, I'm just impressed with the fact that he's been in the UFC since 2006 and has never lost more than 2 fights in a row. That's just an incredible stat alone to me. Over how many fights? I could count them, but I'm not going to. Let's see. My man Fletch says, his longevity is certainly commendable. Him and Arlovsky never seem to break down at all. Yeah, man. I mean, the fact that he was still getting in there at 41 years old is an incredible feat at 155 pounds. If you're a heavyweight and you're 41, like, you could still start your career in Bellator. And that's fine. But to be a lightweight fighting in the UFC, 41 years old, he's definitely in short company. I'm pretty positive. I don't think there's a lot of people, under 170 pounds that are sticking around into their 40s. Jim Miller's probably going to be one of them, but Jim Miller's another guy that's just, he's not human. So I don't know. If I'm on the panel, I'm voting Clay Guida into the Hall of Fame. You guys can let me know what you think. Bill Algeo, rear naked choke submission over TJ Brown. So I thought TJ won the first round of this fight. I thought Algeo was getting beat pillar to post in that first round. He was swinging a little bit wild, and TJ was countering with just straight shots, which is the exact right strategy. But Algeo, he landed a nice elbow in that second round that really stunned Brown, and then got him down, submitted him, and then cuts a damn promo against Kansas City, which came out of nowhere. He faked like he was gonna retire, and then he's like, "I'm just kidding. I would never retire in a dump like Kansas City." And everybody just kind of went quiet because like nobody was expecting it. I guess Kansas City's not like a rowdy place or anything, so people didn't even really boo him or anything. And he just went like full heel, full Colby Covington. Calls Kansas City a dump, and then says he's never gonna retire. It was interesting. I don't know what caused him to do that. I've never been to Kansas City. I don't know if it's a dump or not. But I thought Bill Algeo comes out of Philadelphia. So if you live in Philadelphia and you're calling anywhere else a dump, that makes no sense to me, because I've been to Philadelphia, and I'm not going to say it's a dump, but it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. A lot of history there. They got the Liberty Bell and the Rocky Steps and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think I'd sooner go to Kansas City. In any case, I thought it was funny, man. Maybe got himself some clicks. Maybe he got a little traction. Bill Algeo is a great fighter. He's good everywhere. So maybe he just needs to get his name in the papers a little bit more. Brandon Royval, big win over Matheus Nicolau. Hit that big knee, and then once he hit the ground, the killer instinct from Royval kicked in, and he was just dropping elbows like they were on sale. And referee had to get in there and stop it. Elbows are always going to look worse than just throwing punches in the ground and pound. They're going to sound worse when you're up close to them. And just visually, if a guy's taking unanswered elbows as opposed to unanswered punches, the referee's going to be a little quicker to get in there and stop it, because there's nothing covering your elbow. It's just bone, obviously. So good call by the ref. Impressive performance by Brandon Royval. Here was the double retirement: Zak Cummings and Ed Herman. This fight, man, where do I begin? Ed Herman got knocked out like 4 times in this fight. So, good for him. He's still got a chin. He's been around this game a long time. I was talking last week. He's got to be the last guy from the original Team Quest that's still fighting. Coming out of that gym with the legends like Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen, Chris Lieben, Evan Tanner. They had just a legion of great fighters over there. So Ed Herman was part of that team. Season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter. His fight with Kendall Grove on that season was just awesome. It was a war. Ed Herman's been in a ton of wars throughout his career. The chin's still holding up at whatever he is, 42, I think they said 42 years old. Yeah, man. 42. He had that really weird fight last time he got in there, which was almost 2 years ago with Alonzo Menafield. I had kind of thought he was retired until I saw last week that he was fighting. But, good for him finally throwing it in. I hope he enjoys his retirement. He's put on a lot of great fights over the years. So congratulations to Ed Herman on your retirement. And congratulations to Zak Cummings for retiring after knocking out Ed Herman. Mark kind of pointing out me contradicting myself, saying he got knocked out 4 times and then saying good for him. Yeah. Listen, you don't come here for logic. I'm not even drinking anything tonight because it's a Monday night. Probably should be. Should pour one out for Ed Herman and Clay Guida and Zak Cummings. So Zak Cummings, Zak Cummings retires, knocks out Ed Herman and retires in front of his hometown crowd. And then the very next fight, Bill Algeo calls the place a dump with a fake retirement. So I don't know. Is there some kind of problem between Zak Cummings and Bill Algeo? Like, why did I'm just realizing now, I guess he was like making fun of Zak Cummings retiring in his hometown here. But Zak Cummings, another dude, been around a long time, been in some great fights, bounced around all different weight classes throughout his career. He's fought at light heavyweight, he's fought at middleweight. I believe he even had a fight or two at welterweight. But if you look at his career, as I'm scrolling down here, it's a lot more green than red. 25-7, man. That's a very respectable career. 38 years old. He's able to do it in front of his hometown crowd with his kids in the audience. So good for him, man. Good for him. Oh, okay. My friend Eddie Law coming in with the info here. Bill Algeo said he called Kansas City a dump because they made a milk called Eagles Tears. All right. And Algeo's an Eagles fan. All right. I guess. I guess if you're that passionate about it, man, I've heard some horror stories about those Philadelphia Eagles fans. So they're like, you go to a game there, you get spit on and beat up and all kinds of stuff. They're a rowdy bunch over there in Philadelphia. Well, in any case, congratulations to all 3 guys that retired. All right, let's talk about this this ghost tap here, Gillian Robertson and Piera Rodriguez. So Rodriguez just getting the shit beat out of her in this fight. She didn't even look like she belonged in the same octagon as Gillian Robertson. Just getting beat down on the ground, and then Gillian Robertson decides to gift her with an armbar on a way out, and Piera Rodriguez taps, and then I guess made a noise that made Keith Peterson stop the fight. And they called it a verbal submission to the armbar. Look, that thing was locked in. She wasn't defending it. She wasn't going anywhere. She was going to get her arm broken. Even if she didn't tap and verbally tap, which I'm pretty sure she did both, Keith Peterson still saved her from having a broken arm. So she should have been thanking him instead of fighting him. And then she was like getting kind of nasty with Gillian too, saying, I didn't tap. And it's like, it's not Gillian's fault. The referee told her to stop, so she stopped. That's what makes this a sport. For those who aren't aware. Here's the thing. If she cries out in pain, that's a verbal submission. And a lot of referees will tell you that. So if you make a noise like something just broke, they're going to stop the fight. That goes for jiu-jitsu tournaments, as well as MMA fights. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's going to go down on paper as a submission due to armbar. Nothing will ever change that. No amount of appeals, no amount of doing interviews and telling people you didn't tap. That's it. You get submitted. Time to move on. You had a nice, beautiful, undefeated record before that, but you ran into Gillian Robertson, she's just so good on the ground. Okay. Daniel Zellhuber. Sounds like he could be like a competitor in Zoolander 3. Daniel Zellhuber. This fight with Lando Venata, the story of the fight was, first of all, Zellhuber just beating the brakes off of Venata in the first round. Jason Herzog did a good job keeping an eye on the action. He knows how tough Lando is. Let it go. Lando comes back a little bit, but he was just having a hard time with the reach of Zellhuber, and that was kind of the story with the rest of the fight. So there we have it. I'm not going to get into the rest of this card because I don't feel like it. So let's take a look ahead at next week. I'm just taking a look at this whole card for the first time. And okay. Looks pretty interesting. All right. So this fight, I feel like, has not gotten enough attention because, okay, Sergey Pavlovich is just an absolute monster in this heavyweight division. He's got insane speed for heavyweight. He's got crazy power. He's just knocking dudes out left and right. Curtis Blades is the worst matchup in the division for him because he's got the best wrestling pedigree. I know we've got John Jones, who was a junior college national champion. But, as far as wrestling on paper, Curtis edges him out there. Curtis has power as well. He's got the ability to make really great game plans. This one's going to be interesting, and especially if it goes 5 rounds. If Pavlovich can't get Curtis Blades out of there in the first round and a half or so, how are we going to see this guy's cardio hold up over a 5-round main event? I think that's going to be interesting. This fight is important because these are two really highly ranked guys. Pavlovich's only loss was a TKO loss to Alistair Overeem back in 2018. Since then, he's won 5 in a row, all knockouts. This man is a beast. His last 2 fights ended in under a minute against Tai Tuivasa and Derek Lewis. This guy is a problem, man. But if you look at his fights, okay, it looks like he has gone 5 rounds once back in 2017 in Fight Nights Global. Other than that, this guy has hardly ever been out of the first round. Now we know because he told us that he struggles with wrestlers because he did some training at AKA, and I guess he had a hard time with Daniel Cormier, who would just take him down at will and hold him down. I'm not telling you that Curtis Blades has wrestling that's equivalent to Daniel Cormier's, but I mean, if you're looking at this heavyweight division, he's definitely got the best wrestling credentials of anybody. So, and don't sleep on Curtis Blades' power either. Curtis has the ability to put people out. Knocked out Chris Dawkins. What was that other surprising knockout he had. Yeah, knocked out Junior Dos Santos, Shamil Abdurrahimov, knocked out Alistair Overeem. You guys remember that? Who was the only guy to beat Pavlovich. This is a really interesting heavyweight matchup. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is going to be a fun fight. Back at the Apex. These are two big boys to be in that little Apex octagon. All right, co-main event, Song Yadong and Ricky Simone. This is a really fun bantamweight scrap here. Bantamweight is a pretty logjam division right now, but these two guys being in the co-main event spot, they have a chance to make some noise here, and possibly jump up the rankings with an impressive performance. Let's see. Brad Tavares and Bruno Silva. That's a fun fight. Okay. I like that. This one is surprising to me. Bobby Green, Jared Gordon. It's a fun fight that I just didn't expect to see on here. I didn't know this fight was happening. It's interesting though. Jared Gordon is going to be a little bit smaller in there against Bobby Green, but you got to wonder if Bobby Green's learned his lesson about dropping the hands and like a bit of the showboating after getting knocked out by Drew Dober in his last fight. Because Jared Gordon's going to come with that same kind of energy. He's going to throw good technique, good straight punches. But I think Bobby Green's size might be a little bit of a problem. Of course, Jared Gordon coming off of that controversial loss to Paddy Pimblett, however long that was ago. Jeremiah Wells and Matheus Semelsberger. This should be a really fun fight. Really fun one right here. This might be my sleeper fight pick here. These guys are both good, man. So Semelsberger coming off of that win over Jake Matthews in his last fight. That was back in December. Let's see what Mr. Wells has been up to lately. 5 wins in a row. Won his last fight by knockout over Court McGee. That's a tough dude to knock out, too. So, yeah, I'd keep my eye on that fight, folks. And then Ronnie Yaya, man, still in there doing the damn thing. Getting in there with Montel Jackson. Ronnie Yaya's been around a long time, man. Great submission artist. Cool, man. Then we got Junior Tafa and Muhammad Usman, Kamaru Usman's brother, heavyweight fight. That should be fun. Tafa's undefeated. Yeah, it's a fun little fight night. I feel like this is going to be one of those cards that surprises a lot of people with how good the fights are. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. Well, it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode this week. I don't know what happened to Jeff. He did say he wanted to jump on the episode this week, but I did start off a little late here, so maybe we already went to bed. But shout out to Jeff the Animal Wilson. Shout out to my parents who just celebrated yesterday their 40th wedding anniversary, which I am grateful for, because without them meeting and getting married and procreating, I wouldn't be here and be able to do this. So big thanks to my mom and dad. I booked them a little trip to come down and visit on Mother's Day weekend as an anniversary present. So looking forward to that. And do a little getaway with the folks. They spend some time with the grandkid. It's good for everybody. In any case, if you guys want to grab some MMA on the Rocks merchandise, you do so through our friends at Team Reaper. I'll put the links in the show notes. As always, you can use the promo code MMA Rocks 10 Save yourself 10% on your order. What else, man? Is there anything else going on? Let me take a look at the news real quick. I should have somebody doing this for me. You know, like a little all right, looks like not a whole lot going on. Okay. And that's it for the news. So until next time, cheers everybody, bye.